So today is the second class of our Java level 3. This is the AOE computer programming class for Java. We are at level 3. Last week, we learned using file class to handle files. And I showed you the power of Java coding. You can crawl a folder and found out all the files in that folder. And we learned 2 different methods. One is list. One is list files. And today I wanted to ask you, what's the difference between list and list files? Stay with the key. So what is the difference between okay, you see list files, and the list everything. Steven, do you agree? David put his answer in the chat. Steven,
I agree.
you agree? Okay. So who does not agree? Who does not agree? Nobody? All right, list of files. It does list of files, but you just use list. What you get? Let me go to our code. Okay, so this will be our code. And we use files children list files, so we get all the files. But if you go to the website, let me go there, and let's go to the file Java file. And if you go here, and you see what does list do? What does list do? So let me just use list. Okay. So what do we got? What do we got? If you go to read that, class file. Class file. So what does list do? I think we talk about in the class, and that's why when we need to crawl, we have to use list files, because the list will only give you the name, what you got. It's a string, you see. It is a string array. But if you use list files, it is in the file area. It's an object. Okay, it's an object. So list is just get the file names. So that's a big difference. It is a big difference. Let me share my screen. So if you come to the Python file, the class, right? If you click on list, and you see here this return type is string array, but you see list files, this is a file string. So that's a big difference. Okay, if you return a file object, then you can do an recursive call, because you can try to find the subfolder and the files in the subfolder, and the files in the subfolder is subfolder, right? If you just use list, you cannot get that. You cannot get that because what you get is just a name, a string. So a string does not have a subfolder. You cannot tell if it's a folder or if it's a file. You cannot, right? Right. So that's the biggest thing. Actually, the bigger thing. All right. So let me continue then. Now we wanted to find the files that are text. Only the text file you will find it. So what can we do? What can we do? Think about that. Come back to the website. See what we can use. So I give you 2 minutes to read the website. Then I will ask you guys, do you have a solution for this? Here, you see what I asked. Now we want to find the files that are text. If it's not text file, do not list it, do not show it. What can we do? Can you guys go to the website? Okay, the class called a file. If you do not have it, let me just give you this URL. And you come back to tell me what you can do to satisfy this. I want you to look at it, all those methods. So I'm trying to teach you guys a skill. It's not just the code itself, a skill. And in the future, so you can use the skill to do other things, because once you do Java, and as long as you do Java, that's the way for you to solve the problem. So I will go very slowly on this one, and I want you guys to gain that skill in the future, then you will be able to do the research yourself. Okay, so anyone has an idea? Anyone? Andy,
Yes.
do you have a solution? Or do you have an idea?
For what?
For what? Let me ask. Devin. Devin, do you know what I asked Andy for?
I was setting up my clips. Could you repeat that?
All right. Looks like what I have said for minutes. It does not hit the target. All right, so let me share my screen. So maybe my English is too poor. What I said, nobody can understand. So let me get a Michael. Can you help me with this sentence?
Now we want to find the files that are txt. What can we do?
All right, Andy. So now you know what I want from you, right?
Yeah, you can probably like use a filter, like a type filter.
Very good. Very good, Andy. So let's come back to the website. This is the way I want you guys to figuring out how to solve a problem. So you see, I wanted to find the files. That's a text file, right? So I will come here to look at all those methods. Okay, so the method, I will have this here, list, this overloaded method, list files. Those three are overloaded. Okay, and you see this one. Okay, this method, it needs a parameter. What a parameter it is? It is a file field. So as Andy mentioned, we can use a file field. Then you will say, what is a file field? That's a very good question. What is a file field? Click on it. All right. So you know I'm trying to connect all the dots, the basic skill stuff we learned in the level 1 and level 2. So now what is a file field? I click on it. You see, this is the file field. File field is not a class. It is an interface. And what is the difference between an interface and a class? Does anyone know? Steven, do you still remember the difference between a class and an interface? Anything you can remember?
I'll be honest, I don't really remember anything about interfaces.
Okay.
If we learned that in Java 2 or 1.
It should be in Java 2 and very late in Java 2. Okay. So who knows that, Michael? Do you know what's the difference between a file field and a class, an interface and a class?
I think I don't really remember that much.
Okay. So that's a very good opportunity for me to explain to the class. Interface and the class. In the interface, all the methods are abstract. In the class, as long as this class is a concrete class, all the methods are implemented. So then you will ask me, what is an abstract method? What is an abstract class? Right? All those now come to play because we need to use them to solve the problem. So all this now come to the point we need to have our wisdom to solve it. So then what is an abstract method? What does it mean? So David, do you remember what is an abstract method?
It's a method that isn't defined.
Very good. Your getting to that abstract method, it is just defined, but no method body. It's not implemented. Okay. In an interface, you cannot implement any methods. After Java, version 3, because a lot of Java classes have been created, have been used to implement interface. So if they want to make a change to the interface, so they set a new rule, and that new rule is that if the method is a default method, okay, or if the method is a static method, then you can implement it in an interface. So what does it mean? You see, when we look at this interface file field, in this file field interface, it only has one method. This method is called accept. Okay. Accept will return true or false. True or false. So if you wanted to get the text file, so you need to create a file field. And how to create a file field? And this actually is a brand new thing. We never learned in our level 1, level 2. And what is brand new? You are doing inline implementation. Because it is an interface, it's abstract. You cannot create an instance of it. You cannot use new to create an instance. So how can I use this interface? How can I? You need to either create a class that implement this interface, or you do it a smart way, like what we are going to do. What are we going to do? We are going to do an inline implementation. You cannot use an abstract thing. So you have to implement it. Let's move to the next slide then. So I spend a lot of time to talk about this. So let me just go back here. So you use a file name field. And then you say this is an interface. And I'm not using a new class. And you cannot do that unless you do this in an implementation. So what is the an implementation? You are implemented the accept method here. You see, this is the method, and now it has a body. So that way you can create an instance of it. And here is the interface name. And you need to implement this method. So what do we do? File name field. And you pass this in. And this is the file string name. And you will just return the name ends with. This is the string. String has a method called ends with. If it ends with txt, you return true. And the accept is a method. It returns a Boolean value. So if the file name ends with txt, it will be returned. And then you see you use directory list. You pass this field in. So you got a string area, and that string area will be all the text files. Let me give you this code. Let me give you this code. All right. So now you need to watch my screen where I put it. So here you see do you still have this method in your class? Okay, so what I needed to do, I will just put that code, replace this one. All right. So you see here, I in and implemented this interface. So let me import this one. So I have to accept it. I use a .txt file. This is a file name field. So with this field implemented, and I declared here, so I can use it here directly, right? So this is children, right? Right. So if you have that, now what we just need to do, let's just print this out. Just print this out. So here you see the file name. Let me just a string file name. Actually, we just needed to use the children. Let's do it quick here. String file name. And in the children, I will just print out the string name. I do not need this one anymore. So string file name in children, this will only print out. They will only print out all the text file. So now let me use this one. Okay. So let me go to an folder that has text file in it. So let me go to my temp folder. So let me see if I have text file in it. I do not. Okay, let me go to C temp if I have it. I hope I have some. Okay, you see I have the text file here. So let me come back, just use C temp. And then let me run this. Let me save my code and run this class. You see only the text file is selected. Only the text file is selected. Okay. All right. So I'm not sure if you guys get your code to work. I needed to check you guys work. Before I stop sharing, anyone has any question? Do you get this to work? Do you have any question about this?
Can you copy the last bit of code at the bottom for me?
Okay, let me give you that code. I copy the entire method. And this method actually just use, this is the focus, okay? This is our focus. We needed to be able to filter out the files. And we use the file name field. Okay, the file name field is an interface. You cannot create an instance. So what we do, it's a very smart way. We do it inline. This is called inline implementation. So you see, I use the braces here and I implement the method implement that method because this is an abstract method. You have to implement it. You tell the system what you will return in what kind of situation. And you look at this, the whole thing here is just one statement. It is just one statement. What does the statement do? You just create this variable and you assign this variable to a new file name field. And the whole thing creates an instance of a file name field because it's an interface. So that's why you need to implement all the methods in it. And you are lucky because this field, this interface only has one method. If it has 3, then you have to implement all 3. Okay. All right, so let me stop sharing. So let me ask you first, Andy, does this make sense?
Yeah, this makes sense.
Okay, how about you, David?
I'm still copying the code.
Okay. So Marilyn, looks like you just joined us, right? Marilyn.
Yeah.
So you follow along?
She
Does
just
this make
joined. Yeah, she just joined. Just came.
Okay. All right. So, okay, who finished? Who wants to share your code to me and run it? And I can see that it works. Nobody wants to share it. Then I have to call them. All right. When I call you, it does not mean that I only pick you, okay? I really wanted to get a feel how are you guys doing? All right, Steven, do you mind to share your work to me?
My Java is terminating the file find Java application, so I'm trying to, and I'm not getting any obvious errors. So I'm trying to see if there's something I might have done wrong.
Do you mind to share it so I can help you, or you wanted to figure it out yourself?
I'll share my screen.
Okay. Is your file in LE in that folder? On the left panel, you have 2 projects, right? Is this class in project LE
It's in,
Java?
yeah, it's in the Java one. I think I used to use the AOE folder, but I believe I did something wrong with it, and I'm not really sure how to explain. It's like, other than the name, it's generally the same thing. So, but I'm not sure if the name affects it.
Okay, so can you run this one?
It doesn't throw up any errors. It just says it was terminated, and then nothing happens.
Marilyn, do you have any questions?
Yeah, it's like when I try to like download Eclipse, it just pops up when I say launch and it just deletes itself.
Yeah, can you go to that folder to see if you have text file in it?
Does it does it search through all the folders and the subfolders, or just the folder specified?
just that folder specified because you
Oh.
really do not have code to get into the subfolder.
Okay, well, I realize why it's terminating now.
Okay, so if you wanted to do debug it, you wanted to make sure if your application is good or not. So usually what we do, we just put a line of code here. So that's what I did when I started to do programming and when I work for a company and I'm asked to write some code and I cannot, determine if this method is called, I will just write something. I will say started here. Okay. So now if I save my code and I run it, you see, I see this is printed out. Oh, I realize this method does get called and it does run into it, and this line was executed. And then you can move this line to down to the below, and you can find out which line has been executed, which part has been executed. That's a skill, okay? It's not a smart skill, but actually it gives you an idea because it's an application, right? When they come to the line, it executes it and it has a result here. So that's this part. Well, looks like I even did not share my screen. I'm so sorry, nobody see my screen, okay? So this is what I do. So I put a statement like this in this method. That's not a very smart way to do it, but I use it when I get into a company. I just got out of college. I go to a company. I write my application for the company, and I do not know if my code is right, way is executed. And that's a very basic skill I used. So I put a line here, then I run it. Okay, you see, I have this output here. Then I know it does call my method. It does run my code this line. So if I put this line here, if I remove it and I put it here, and if I see this output, that means all the code here are fine. They are executed because they can successfully come to this line and execute that line of code. That's a basic skill, okay? All right, so let me stop sharing. So anyone have any question? Okay, David, can you share yours to me? David. All right, so the reason is that, let me see. Okay, why you have the code there? Okay, looks like you could have messed up. Okay, here. So can you remove, do not do that at this moment. Can you remove code from 37 to 47? Delete the whole thing. Remove it. Okay, so well, the code you have from 30 to 35, can you copy it? The entire thing, can you copy it? Yeah, and then not cut it. Can you put it after line 13? 13 after line 13. Yeah, paste it here. All right. So now you move your mouse over file name field Move your mouse over it. Move your mouse over file name. Yeah. Can you click on import a file name field? The first one. First one. Okay, now you need to do something here. Can you remove line 21? You don't need it. Okay. All right. So you can go to you can simplify the code from 922 to 923. Okay. Then yeah, you remove line 22. Okay, remove that line 22. All right. So you can remove all lines from 24 to 31. Okay. Delete it. All right. So the line 22 is the for loop. You need to rewrite it. So let me tell you how to rewrite it. You type in a string in the in the parentheses, within the for parentheses. Line 22. Yeah. After the first parenthesis. First parenthesis. And can I get the control of your computer? Okay. All right. Okay, here. You remove everything. Okay, now type in a string, capital S string, and then a space, file name, lowercase file name, all lowercase, and the colon, no, let me do that. The simple colon. Okay, and then type in children. All right. Okay. So now if your folder has text file, you run it, you should get it. You can save your code and run it, and you can try different folders. If that folder has text file, you should be able to list them. If you do not have text file, you just go to see what kind of file you have. Then you just change this part. Okay. Just change this part. If you have a doc file, just put a DOC there. All right, you can stop sharing. And if it still doesn't work, let me know. Okay. Who else need my help? If not, let's move on. Okay. So here it will list the text files only. Pay attention to the file name field. I already spend a lot of time talking about that. And this is the very, very tricky part. Okay. So now I want you guys to take a look at the file field interface. Now think about updating the list files method. Can you implement a file field? So our method list files will only return folders. Will only return folders. If we can get this one done, you guys are great. So you see, you use the file field. This one, file field. Okay. And the previous one, we used the file name field. This one, you use a file field. And the method you will use list files. And see if you can just list all the folders, not file, not files. I will give you guys 10 minutes. And then after 5 minutes, I will ask you guys to see if you guys have an idea. But I really want you guys to go back to read these methods. You see list the files. Okay. Now you also look at the code we used last week. If you still have that. If you still have that. If you do not have that, let me tell you a way to recover it. Can you guys watch my screen? I will right click on this file. I will say compare with local history. Okay, you see I have a list here of the files. Today is the 21st. And this may be the time I started to save my file. So I just need to compare with this one. Okay, you see, this will be the last code I have before today's class. Okay, so let me just copy everything from here. Now let me close this one. Then now let me come here and I will replace all the code here. So this gives me a way to restore my code. So this with this code, you see, I have the list of files. I have all those other codes here. I got them back. I can save it. Do you guys get this skill? You guys have that? No feedback. Okay, so now I want you guys to do this one. Access. Take a look at the file filter interface. Now think about updating the list files method. Can you implement file field so our method list files will only return folders? And the example for file name is here. You can just make a modification to this one. All right, so let me ask you guys, do you have an idea how to get this done? How to get this done? Anyone has an idea? So David, do you have an idea? What will the implementation should be?
So I was thinking about it, and we could get list files and get the list files method, and hold on, and we could
Okay, Marilyn then. Marilyn, do you have an idea? Marilyn? Michael,
I'm not sure.
Steven,
I'm guessing putting the file filter
mhm,
to into the old code.
mhm. Okay, let's do it together. I hope you know the first one should give us some suggestion. So let me just copy this one, copy this part. Okay. So I know this is not correct, but whatever. So let's just copy this part first. Okay. Let me copy this part of code and put it here. Of course, this time it's not a file name field. It's called a file field. So I need to make this the file field. File field also has a method called accept, right? Let me import this one first. Import it. But when you look at the file field, come back. Okay, you'll see the file field, click on it. The accept is accept a file. All right. So then I need to change this just to a file. There's no name here. Okay, very good. So I accept a file. So what I needed to do here is that dir dot is directory. If it is, return true. All right. So with that, I just need to change this to list files. Okay. So you list the files, you have the file field, right? When you use list of files, this is a file area. It's not a string area. Okay, so I just take this one out. Okay, so all these children now should be a folder. Should be a folder. So if the children is not now, so let me change the code here. Okay, I will not need to use anything else. I just needed to use this one. Okay, so I will still use file name. I just use a lowercase file. Children. So that means every file in the file area is called a children. What I need to do, I just print this out, right? I will say file or dot get absolute path. That will be the folder. Okay, let me save my code. So we know that Eclipse has a lot of subfolders. Okay, so let me run it. You see, these are the folders I have. So you use a file or filter. Now you only get the folders. This is the file filter. This is the way you implement it. And then you just check if this file is a directory or not. You return this value. And then you do in and implement. And let me go to my Eclipse folder. eDrive Eclipse folder. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 subfolders here. So let me come to see the output. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exactly. Only the folders are returned. I do have files here. You see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 files. None is returned. So you are using a field to filter out what you need. What you need. Any question? If no question, I need to see your work. See if you have got that. So let me show you my code here. And I really want you guys to implement for yourself. And then I will check at least 3 students' work. And you will see that today you learned several important things. And I will summarize on that after I check your work. Okay, if you have a question, let me know. If not, I will give you 1 more minute. Then I will start to check your work. Okay, so can I get your work, David? Do you want to share yours? Cool. Very good. Wonderful work, David. So Michael,
Mine has like an error.
yeah, can you share it to me so I can help you?
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. It says an error like right here.
Yes, and you see why. So you need to use list of files because only list of files will accept a file filter, right? And then on the beginning, 21 and 21, it will not be in a string area. It should be in a file area. So you change the string to file because
Okay.
the list of files will return file. Okay, you run it, see if you can get anything. Oh, okay, no, stop. You still have a problem here. So on 925, why we have a problem? Because the children now is an array of a file, not an array of string. So you need to change a string to file. Right? And then you will have problem on line 27. 27, you print out a file, it will just print out the file object. You need to use the file name dot get absolute path. Yeah, that will get you the absolute path of all the subfolders. Save it,
Okay.
and you run it, you will see that you get it. If you have folders, okay, then you will see you get a lot of subfolders that you can print them out. And you save
Okay.
it and run it.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I have any folders though. Wait.
Then you can try different place. You can
Okay,
try to
yeah.
run it, see if you have problem or not. Okay, do you not name your class Java in the future, okay? Do not
Okay.
just name it as Java, give it a different name because Java is so special. And you may
Okay.
confuse.
Yeah.
So can I get a Andy? Andy, do you mind to share yours? Cool. Very good, Andy. Thank you. Wonderful job. I'm very glad that you guys get it to work. So today we learned what? 3 big things. You never touched it before. One, we learned how to use an interface and use inline implementation to create an instance of an interface. Or you cannot. Let me just show you, okay, why you cannot. So let me just show you here. If I use file field, and I will say my if, okay, equal to new file field. You see, I have a problem. You see what a problem I have? You cannot instantiate the type file field. Why? Because it's an interface. Interface has abstract stuff in it. Abstract stuff, you cannot create an instance because the system does not know what to do with it. You do not tell the system how that works, what it will do. So you cannot, so you learn the skill. You do in an implementation, you see, this, the whole thing here is just an implementation of this abstract method. Okay? And the second skill you learned is that you can use the field to get what you need. And you do not need to care the rest because they're not what you need. So use that. Okay. And then the third one is that I hope you guys remember that the difference between an interface and the abstract method and then concrete class and then implemented method. So you say you use it here, different method requires different parameter data types. And just like what Michael showed me, and if you use list, then you cannot pass in a file field. Why? If we go back, if we see the list, okay, list will only take care of file name field. Okay, only list of files it takes in a file field. So the skill you learned is that if I need to solve a problem, I will come to take a look at my class, what method it has. And once I see that method, it may help me do the work. Then I need to see what parameters it has. If I do not know the parameter, then I need to click on it. And usually if it's a class, then I will come back to look at the construct. How can I create an instance of that class? How can I use it? How can I create one so I can supply it to the method that will help me solve the problem? So that's all the skills, and they are very important skills if you like development work. If you learn this, and you are on your own foot. Okay, I already dragged you guys for 2 minutes. Let me stop here. So I will return the class back to Miss He.